Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Dennis Sperling, and I want to talk to you guys about the story of Job, the book of the Bible, Old Testament. And I think it's important that we begin to speak about this because there are so many similarities between Black men and the circumstances we deal with here in the United States and Job's life. And like Job, we're also under attack. And for no reason at all, our faith is being challenged. Now, I'm going to read this to you guys, and I'm going to summarize it. The book of Job is one of the most popular books in the Bible, but I think it's important that brothers make sure we maintain our relationship with the Most High, whatever your name is. And I use the Holy Bible because I know for the most part, the United States is a Christian country. And a lot of you brothers grew up with it, but unfortunately, many of us have been so dissatisfied, I would say, by Christian preachers and Baptist preachers swindling our mothers and grandmothers and whatnot, that we just put the whole Bible down. But like Dr. John Henry Clark says, one of our greatest historians said, don't give up on the Bible. You know, don't throw the Bible away. But either way, in summary, Job was a good man. He was living in the land of Uz with a large family and had lots of flocks. The way a person was judged back then was how much did he own. You know, Satan then challenged God and said that because he was such a good man, Satan basically came up there with the whisper and said, "Look, if you give me permission to punish him, Job will turn on you and curse you." And you know, God allows him to torment him and test him and this claim. But the only thing is, Satan says you can't take his life in the process, right? And that's very similar to what Black men are doing. No matter what they do to us, they still can't destroy us. Yes, they've taken the lives of Black men, but they haven't taken all of our lives. We're still here after over 500 years of slavery, or 400 years of since our ancestors were taken from the shores of Africa and brought here. So what did Satan do? Satan afflicted him with sores all over his body. Even Job's wife, and this is something we'll get into in detail later, said, curse God and die. Basically, she telling him to commit suicide. And Job told her that he said that would be foolish. Even though Job lost everything, he had suffered from painful sores on his body. He did not sin against God by cursing him as his wife wanted him to do. And we're gonna red pill that wife. Her name is not given, but we're gonna put our red pill lenses on and analyze the wife's behavior. Specifically, this woman lost everything. And so, you know, this is a lesson we need to understand. She was married to a rich man, her circumstances changed, and she said, you know, basically throw God away, you know. So that's something we need to analyze a little deeper. The story of a good man named Job challenges the guilt-suffering paradigm by illustrating that even the most righteous suffer. In other words, we mind our business. We hadn't been at war with anybody in Africa, and yet we came and we were kidnapped and punished in all sorts of ways and brought over here. We hadn't done anything. A lot of people it challenges the notion that we as Black people, as African, enslaved Africans, had done something when we hadn't done anything. We were just living our life. You know, they made up all sorts of reasons why they should have captured us. Oh, they're less than, they're inferior. All because what? because they had to make it up. We hadn't actually done anything. So here's the thing. We as black men are challenged in this regard. So how do we maintain our faith in the face of the apparent meaningless suffering brought about through no fault of our own? We see our brothers, we wouldn't even be here in this country if it wasn't for the enslavement and capture and bringing us here. So it's important that we maintain our faith, even though we're going through this stuff. And there's really nothing we can do about it per se. All right. But Job shows us how to keep the faith no matter how grim the circumstances of life may be. Sometimes the stakes are enormous. And in the unseen world of Satan, and armies of darkness will be defeated because of faith. So in other words, fellas, man, this is going to be a testament in faith from the Bible. And many of you guys, some of you guys are wrongly accused of crimes, wrongly accused of being bad fathers. You're being tormented, you know. And so I'm trying to get you guys to get to the point where you recognize that this is not something that's not new. This is not something, it's not something that's new. It's men being tormented for no reason at all. You guys probably got good fathers, good providers, but you're still being tormented. You know, you live a good life and you're still afflicted with cancer and heart disease and all these other things. And you're looking at yourself like, why me? This is what I'm trying to get you guys to. And sometimes if you allow the why me's to get to you, you can fall into depression. So, you know, before I get started, I want to make sure I want to give a shout out to my man Volcanus. Thank you so much, sis. Salute, Uncle D is a legend. This track is insane. Hey man, all the music is available on you can find it on SoundCloud, you can find it on Spotify. It's all available. I'll put the link in the chat room for everybody. The link is right there. I appreciate you guys. Just pull up that link and check it out, man. I got 6 albums already for your listening and enjoyment. My man W. Alfonso said church is about to be in session. Preach, Uncle D. And then my man Volcanus again said this is an amazing song. Look at the beautiful visuals, beautiful women. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. And I appreciate that music too. It allows me to express myself in ways that I would not otherwise. I also hope you guys are checking out Co-Parenting with the Sperlings, man. So far, people are liking it. I think we got 100,000 views so far, and I'm excited about what we're doing here. You guys make sure you follow the link. Check out Co-Parenting with the Sperlings Season 1. Season 2 will be up soon. This is what it looks like. That's yours truly, sponsored by yours truly, paid for by yours truly, in hopes of changing the image of black men. That link is also in the chat room. Make sure you check it out. But either way, without further ado, let's get to this Sunday evening lesson. So Job is a wealthy man, okay? Living in the land of Uz with his large family and extensive flocks. He is blameless and upright, always careful to avoid evil. Okay, this man goes out of his way not to do evil. One day, Satan, the adversary, right, appears. In other words, the adversary appears to God in heaven, and God boasts to Satan about Job's goodness. In other words, God is saying, I got a good man down here, man. He's a good man. But Satan argues that Job is only good because you blessed him abundantly. In other words, it's easy to love you when nothing is wrong, man. You know, God, you around here, you bragging on this cat, man. Yeah, okay, yeah, take all his money away. So basically, then you'll see who he really is. You know, take all that favor that you have around him away, and you'll see who he really is. So Satan challenges God that if given permission to punish the man for no reason at all, right? Job will turn and curse God. God allows Satan to do that. He allows him to torment Job, to test this bold claim, but he forbids Satan to kill him in the process. In the course of one day, now check this out, right? You know, in one day, Job receives 4 messages, okay? Each bearing separate news. First, his livestock, all his cows, everything that makes him rich, everything, every dead, cows dead. Servants and 10 of his children have all died due to marauding invaders or natural catastrophes. Basically, what he's saying is this man gets 4 different mates. His cows are killed, all his servants are killed, and his 10 children, all his children are died because of either some marauding invaders. Because you got to think about it, back there, you know, in that part of the world, Middle East, Mediterranean area, you had people rolling around. It wasn't like now where you can call the police. You know, you got fences up. People, you can come by and get robbed and killed. People just gone. And then natural disasters, all of that. So everything in one day. Can you imagine waking up tomorrow morning, your house is gone, your job is gone, your money is wiped out, your kids have passed away, all in one day. So Job tears his clothes, right? He tears his clothes and he shaved his head in mourning. That was something that they did a lot of time with women back in the day. When people were mourning, they would tear their clothes, they would cut their hair off, those sort of things, is showing people there in mourning. But he still blesses God in his prayers. In other words, he still didn't forsake God. Satan appears in heaven again, and God grants him another chance to test Job. Basically, Satan said, well, you know what, let me do something else to him. Yeah, it's one thing for him to lose his riches and his money and whatnot. He'll get that back. But this time, he said, let me put some horrible skin sores on. Let me touch his body. In other words, let me make him sick. And, you know, and so he does that. He strikes him down real cold. He just sitting there. You can look at the picture, the thumbnail picture. That's a recreation of what Joe. He got boils all on him and whatnot. And it gets so bad. His wife, who is not named, she encourages him to curse God and give up and die. Right? But Job refuses, struggling to accept his circumstances. In other words, I'm still gonna remain faithful, even though I lost all my kids, my servants, everything that made me who me. You know what it is. You know what it's like to lose your job. Imagine losing your everything you work for, your land, your cows, your stock, livestock. And now your wife is sitting up here telling you need to kill yourself. Imagine how Job feels. So he's just sitting there struggling. 3 of Job's friends came by, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. They came to visit and they sat with him in silence for 7 days out of respect for his mourning. So they just sat with him in 7 days, for 7 days. On the 7th day, Job speaks. He spoke to him, beginning a conversation in which each of the 4 men shares his thoughts on Job's affliction and long poetic statements. And basically, that's his homies. They came through, right? And they were like, man, you know, they sat with him for 7 days, you know, and then they just began to speak to them about their thoughts on it. Job curses the day he was born, right? This is what's happening now. This man is going through a lot. Many of us black men, we do the same thing, man. You know, we lose everything. We don't know why it's happened to it. People come by trying to give us advice. Our women turn against us. Curse, you kill yourself. You ain't no good, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. He began to curse the day he was born, which is something that's, he was comparing his life and death to the light and the darkness. He wishes that his birth had been shrouded in darkness and longs to have never been born. Feeling the light alone, life only intensifies his misery. So here's the thing, man. A lot of us, brothers, you may not curse yourself, but you'll do things to bring yourself to an end. What do? You do drugs, you take dangerous chances. Many of you all, man, y'all going out there, man, you drinking and you driving. You driving 130, 140 miles per hour. You having sex recklessly with all kind of women and no condoms on. You're eating too much. You using drugs and you just taking reckless chances. Maybe you don't say it, but at the end of the day, what you're doing to yourself right now is you're wishing death on yourself. You really regret the day you were born. You might not say it like that, but you're trying to kill yourself. It's almost like death by cop, death by oversex, death by overeating, death by drugs, death by alcohol, death by car accident. And a lot of that comes from the fact that, man, you don't know why your life is so hard. What have I done? Why is my life so difficult? You know, and so, you know, all that does is just intensifies his misery. You see what I mean? Hating the fact that he was born. His friend Eliphaz responds that Job, who has comforted other people, now shows that he never really understood their pain. Job basically said, look, you've been the one telling us, hey, man, everything's going to be all right. You know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. This is Job telling these other people that. We get this all the time. We get people coming in and saying, look, man, look, black man, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Everything's going to be fine. And then when you see them turn around and go through something, and now you see the misery they're going through, it's like, well, why don't you use some of your own words? And so because he couldn't, this is his homeboy, Eliphaz, said, you never really empathized with. You really never really understood what you were paying. You were just giving us lip service. So Eliphaz believes that Job's agony must be due to some sin Job has committed, and he urges Job to seek God's favor. So he really, misunderstood it. It was just a bet. It was just circumstances. It's just a challenge from the devil to God. Bildad and Zophar agree, and Job must have committed evil to offend God's justice, and argue that he should strive to exhibit more blameless behavior. They say, you must have did something, man, because this is so bad. Just like people, they blame black men. You must have did something. Oh, it's because you're a deadbeat daddy. It's because it takes, the lovely ladies can come up with all the reasons to blame us. But basically, you're suffering because somewhere down the line you did something wrong. That's what we have to deal with as black men. Even though we did absolutely nothing, right? Must be our fault some kind of way. We get that all the time as black men. Bildad surmises that Job's children brought their deaths upon themselves. Look at that. They must have did something wrong. Your children out there suffering and, they gang banging and selling dope and doing it. Oh, they must have done something. Don't we get that all the time as black men? It must have been your children did, which then what reflects on us because we didn't raise them right. So it flows back to him. Even worse, Zophar implies that whatever wrong Job has done probably deserves greater punishment than what he has received. In other words, you lucky to be here. You lucky you living in America, because if you were in Africa, you would really be suffering over there. They tell us that all the time. These are the things that black men are told about ourselves. And this is why I'm telling you guys, you really got to get into that word of God. And because the answers are all in there. Our ancestors understood the human circumstance. They understood the human condition, especially as it has to do with, our interactions in this world. But either way, in response, Job's response to each of these remarks, and he's growing irritated. He like, man, he calls his friends worthless physicians who whitewash with lies. In other words, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all worthless. Y'all trying to diagnose this problem, and you don't even know what you're talking about. After making pain, so they come around there, they sit with him 7 days, and then they start blaming him for his issue. You see what I mean? This is the thing, like, y'all worthless. It's the same thing we deal with. You telling me it's my fault. I didn't do nothing. I ain't did it. You telling me I don't know how other people feel, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, y'all are worthless. So after making pains to assert his blameless character, in other words, I'm telling you, I didn't do anything. Job ponders his man's relationship with God. We do it all the time. It's to the point now, a lot of you brothers you've given up on the Most High. But this is why we're talking about this right now. Job then wonders why God judges people by their actions if God can just easily alter or forgive their behavior. In other words, and so he says, it is also unclear to Job how a human can appease or court God's justice. God is unseen. His ways are inscrutable and beyond human understanding. Moreover, humans cannot possibly persuade God with their words. God cannot be deceived, and Job admits that he does not even understand himself well enough to effectively plead his case to God. Job wishes someone who can mediate between himself and God, or for God to send him to some place where he can just die. You know what I'm saying? So basically, he's beginning to question God like many of you guys do. Why does bad things happen? Why my friend over here gets shot? Why these people over here living rich? And I'm over here, eating, mayonnaise sandwiches, if I can get one, wearing my brother's and my sister's clothes. I'm getting jumped. I'm getting beat. We don't have nothing. We poor. Why is God forsaking me? Why are my people getting shot down in the street like this? You questioning God. You see what I'm saying? You begin to question God. And so this is the same thing that Job was doing. That's why I said there's so many arcs are similar between the black man in America and Job. It's just you really got to sit down and digest this. So Job's friends are offended. Now they mad, right? That he scorns their wisdom. In other words, we coming over here telling you what's wrong. Mind you, they still got their kids and their money and they whatnot. They over here telling him what's wrong with him. And so now his little funky friends are offended and that he scorns their wisdom. Okay, so he's mad. They think his questions are crafty and lack appropriate fear of God. And so they still trying to blame him, right? And they use analogies and metaphors to stress their ongoing point that nothing good comes from wickedness. So they still trying to blame him. You're wicked. The black, you wicked. This happened to you because you're black. Your black butt must have did something. Blah, blah, blah. You don't love God enough. That's why God has forsaken you. We hear all of that. Okay. And now they so much so that you brothers, you think you've done wrong. You think you born into something that you did. That's why you got low self-esteem. I must have done something. The whole world is telling you it's your fault for your condition, and you had nothing to do with it, right? You just were born into this skin, a black male, and now you got to suffer all the consequences. You had absolutely nothing to do with it. No hookups, no links, no benefits, no nothing. Job sustains his confidence. And look what Job does. And this is what I need you brothers to do. Confidence. Job sustains his confidence in spite of their criticisms, responding that even if he has done evil, it is his own personal problem. Furthermore, he believes that there is a witness or a redeemer in heaven who will vouch for his innocence. Basically, what he's saying is he maintains his confidence. I've done nothing. In other words, I've done nothing to deserve this, yet I'm suffering. See, a lot of us, what happens after people tell us we ain't no good, you deserve what you're dealing with, we like, yeah, y'all probably right. We just relent. We just go with it. Job never gave up. So part of you brothers being faithful is being confident that you don't deserve the treatment that the way you're being treated here in the United States and around the world. You have to remain confident that you're worthy, that you're God's child, that you're loved, and respect it for what it is just a test of your faith. And see, if you come up out of this, fellas, you're going to be replaced with everything that you've lost and more. The kingdom is yours, fellas. This is what I'm telling you. After a while, the unbraiding proves too much for Job, and he grows sarcastic and impatient and afraid. Basically, he gets tired of talking to his friends, so he starts snapping at them like, "Oh, I need to back down." He laments the injustice that God lets wicked people prosper, while he and countless other innocent people suffer. Job wants to confront God and complain, but he cannot physically find God to do it. He feels the wisdom is hidden from human minds, but he resolves to persist, pursuing wisdom by God and avoiding evil. In other words, he said, you know what? I'm tired of suffering. You know, it wasn't like he was just suffering for a week. He just was suffering. He was down bad for a minute, and he's like, he just became impatient. It's like, why is it that these rich folks, these former slave owners and their children, they get to go to all these expensive schools and ride around and have nice cars, and they've done wicked things and they get to prosper, and innocent people who've done nothing, man, they just suffer. He wants to talk to God, but he doesn't know how to get to God, and because God's wisdom is hidden from him, he just upset. He don't even understand this situation, a lot like us. And so without provocation, another friend, so somebody else rolls up on him and suddenly enters the conversation. His name is Elihu, believes that Job has spent too much energy vindicating himself rather than God. Elihu explains to Job that God communicates with humans by two ways: visions and physical pain. He says that the physical suffering provides the sufferer with an opportunity to realize God's love and forgiveness when he is well again, understand that God has ransomed him from impending death. In other words, this suffering that you're going through right now, when you're out of it, you're going to realize how good God is because he brought you out of it. But you got to go through it. Now, on a historical note, man, black men have ruled this world for 80,000 years. For about the past 500 years, white men have run the world. We had it for 80,000 years. Okay? We're doing 500 years of suffering. That's really a drop in the bucket. So y'all got to look at it from a historical concept. Now, I've jumped over the history. Some people will say more or less, but about 80,000 years is when the first earliest civilization we've had. So we've been running this world since that. The white man only popped up 8,000 years ago. And for the past 500 years, he's taken over and he runs the world. So we had 80,000. And the question you got to ask, do you want that 80,000 or you want this 500? So just think about that, fellas. We're doing our time, just like Job did his time. He was rich for 80,000 years. Let's say 80 years he was rich, and then for 5 years he struggled. Elihu his friend, back to the conversation with Job. Elihu assumes that Job must be wicked to be suffering as he is, and thinks that Job's excessive talking is an act of rebellion against God. In other words, just shut up and take it. Shut up, black man. Shut up and take it. Take your medicine. Don't say nothing. You know, isn't that what they tell us? They don't want to hear us complain. They don't want to hear us talk. And Job is talking, just like black men are now talking. As of the past 10 years, we've been using the internet. No, it's not just us. Y'all gonna take some of this smoke. Y'all gonna listen to what we have to say. It's not just us. And so now who you got getting mad at you? Shut up and take it. You shouldn't talk. It's your fault. You know, that's what another friend said. All this talking about your complaints. You earned it. You deserved it. You must have did something wicked. So here's the funny thing. God finally interrupts, calling from a whirlwind and demanding Job to be brave and respond to his questions. Now, here's the thing. God finally interrupts, calling from a whirlwind and demanding Job to be brave and respond to his questions. This could very well be an allegory. And I know there are some Bible thumpers out there say, well, God must have spoke to him because the word said, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was some sort of set of circle. Maybe it was something that happened that reminded Job of his faithfulness to God. Could have been a natural occurrence, a natural disaster, a hurricane. They say a whirlwind. You know, a whirlwind came along and shook Job back into his right mind, and and demanded Job, and it reminded Job that he needed to be brave and respond to his questions. That's one thing about you black men. You're very brave. You're very brave. Y'all some simps, and I love you, brothers. You're too damn nice, but you are very brave. You're very brave. You're courageous. You're loving, and God loves you, and that's why we're still here as black men, because you're a special lot of men. You black men who've been through the rigors of slavery, enslaved people, all the torture that we've had to deal with, the work, unrepentant abuse. But we're brave. We stick it through. You see. And so that's another kindred spirit that we have with Job. But either way, God questions are rhetorical, intending to show how little Job knows about creation, how much power God alone has. God describes many detailed aspects of his creation, praising especially his creation of two large beasts, the behemoth and the leviathan. Overwhelmed by the encounter, Job acknowledges God's unlimited power and admits the limitations of his human knowledge. This response pleases God, but he is upset with Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar for spouting poor and theologically unsound advice. Job intercedes on their behalf, and God forgives him. God returns Job's health, providing him with twice as much property as before, new children, and extremely long life. So basically, towards the end, Job was giving up faith. He was just done. He's tired of people. And so something happened with Job, snapped right back into God came down to him, and he chastised him. Said, you don't know what I'm doing out here. You don't know why I've done this. See, a lot of times we're tested and we don't understand why we're tested, and we blaming God. We don't realize it's just a test. A test might surpass your lifetime. A test might be something that you, your children, your children's children, your children's 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 children have to deal with. And you just have to keep prepared. When you start beginning to see that your lifeline extends through your children, then you begin to understand how important your children are. The goal is to make them better than you. The goal is to keep tempering that sword until it's sharp enough. And it might take generations to do that. But in the meantime, they were suffering. Now, if you look at these folks, look at who did God come chastise? He came and chastised the so-called friends who were telling Job, right? The friends that were telling Job it was something wrong with Job. He must have done something evil. He chastised them. No, basically, Job didn't do anything evil. I did it because I wanted to. I did it because it is. This is God's will. Basically, that's basically it. I did it because it was God's will, and it was really at the end of the day a test of faith. Now, as it was all said and done, guess what happened? Job said, please forgive my friends, God. So even in this situation where God was chastising, his friends were forgiven. So then God did what? He returned. He said, okay, devil, it's a wrap. He returns his health. He got rid of all that sickness. He gives him twice as much property as he had before. He gives him new children, and then he gives him an extremely long life. In other words, he gives him his kingdom back times two. Now, is this what's waiting for the black man? Is this what we're going to get? We're going to get twice as much? Well, we have to remain faithful. That's what I'm trying to tell you, brothers. I truly believe we will, but you have to remain faithful. You know, we're doing our time right now. It's somebody else's time to be in charge. That don't mean we have to lay down and take it. We remain faithful, remain upright, keep pushing, you know, like Job did. Now, one thing I want to break down, man, I want to talk about Job's wife because this is important. All right, let's run this together. I want you guys to understand. This woman that urges her husband to commit suicide. Now, this is in Job 2 and 9, chapter 2, the 9th, the 10th verse, chapter 19, 17th verse, chapter 31, and 10th verse. And I'm gonna just basically give you guys some usurp some of this stuff. So one thing we gotta understand, let's do a little background on Job's wife. It's strange that while Job's 3 daughters are mentioned by name, we don't have the name of his wife who remained at his side, although his trials and all through his trials and tribulations. We don't know she was still there. Everybody, she was still there. She's identified by only 10 words which she uttered to her husband as she saw him suffering so much bodily pain and discomfort. This is what Job's wife said to him. Thou still retain thine integrity. In other words, a question mark, you still retain your integrity? You need to curse God and die, or curse God and die by your own hand. In other words, you need to curse God and just roll over and die, or you need to curse God and kill yourself in your suffering by taking your own life. She urges her husband, right, fellas? Let's put the red pill on. Let's put the lens on. She urges her husband to commit suicide and thus relieve himself of further anguish, right? Here's the thing, fellas. Was it for him to relieve his anguish, or did she want to relieve her anguish? She was a woman who was married to a rich man. He had lands, he had cattle, he had 10 children. And now look at him struck down. I'm sure the people were talking about him, saying bad things about him. Right? She is stuck by him, probably because she didn't have anywhere else to go. This woman got 10 kids. She didn't have 10 kids get birthed up out of her. She couldn't have anywhere to go. She's probably, if we want to use biblical, if we want to use red pill terms, she was post-war with 10 kids, used to the easy life. And now what? She's struggling. She's struggling. No more money, no more land, no more servants, no more children to help. You know, none of that. Everybody gone. So was she really feeling sorry for herself or for Job, or was she feeling sorry for herself? At least if he was dead, she could put an end to it and go on and be a widow. But as long as he's alive, she can't divorce him. She can't go away. She's stuck with him. So everybody's pointing to Job, the one who probably his friends are saying he must have sinned. So that's bringing her social status there. Okay, so she done lost her money. Her social status is shot because she was married to a rich man. And now she's married to a man who's sick and poor with boils all on his skin and whatnot. This is his woman. She tells him to kill himself. How many of you brothers been in situations like that? You've been down on your luck, and your woman, who you sacrificed for and had children with, she start kicking you in your butt while you're down. Ain't that something? And here's another thing. There's also a diabolical suggestion that he should relinquish his faith in God. In other words, not only should you kill yourself, but stop, you know, say hell with God and kill yourself. You know, see, basically because he's allowing you to endure these terrible physical torments and material loss. Who else? Don't our lovely ladies do that? Don't they forsake us like that? With stuff like abort black babies. You know, we bringing too much heat to them. We making them look bad. We always the ones getting thugged out. We always the ones getting shot. We always the one on the evening news. We making them look bad. They're the most educated group in America. And if it wasn't for us holding them back, they can go off and be with that white man that they love so much, right? You see what I'm saying? So in their mind, we holding them back. Think about that, fellas. So it is because, see, the thing is, this woman, this wife, allows Satan to use her as an instrument to grieve rather than comfort her husband, and that the commenters have spoken ill of her character. Here's the thing, and she, in other words, she let her husband, she let him down at this crucial moment. Because remember, she lost her children, she lost her land, she lost her status. Just like these lovely ladies here in the US of A, they've lost it all. And so what is she doing? She's allowing her grief at her loss of her social status and her much she comparing herself to what the little Latina women have and comparing herself to what the Asian women have. She's comparing herself to what the white woman has. And so she's looking at you and she's mad. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have that. So she's angry and she's lashing out at you. This is what's interesting, right? Now, what did Job say? What did Job say in response to her? Job's triumph in faith is seen in his most appropriate answer to his wife. What emancipate myself from God and take my own life? Sitting on his ash heap. He replied, because when they would mourn, they would put ashes on top of themselves. So he's sitting on the ash heap. Thou speakest as one. This is what he said to his wife. Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. He was not biting, bitter, or condemning in his rebuke, but he gave vent to a question that multitudes of perplexed hearts all down the ages have found consolation in. This is what he said in response after that. What shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In other words, what he's saying is, you want the good that God gives you. You like that. But when them hard days come, you don't like that. But you got to accept the good with the evil. You got to accept the clouds and the silver lining. Again, black men ran this world for 80,000 years. And for the past 500 years, we've been under the foot of white supremacy racism. Okay? Now, it's been to no fault of our own. We've lost our children. Look at our children now, running around in the street, cutting up. We've lost our land. What do we own in this country? Not much anything. Matter of fact, they've taken over Africa. Many folks, okay? Asians, whites, Europeans, whoever. What else? We've lost our social status and our respect. We went from being the men who traverse this earth, the fathers of every man and woman on this planet, to being what? We've been the lowest man on the totem pole. This is where we are as black men. You see, this is what Job is. And on top of that, his woman has turned against him. What woman in this planet has turned against that man more than the black woman in America? Right? She said, kill yourself, forsake God and kill yourself. And we get it. She's in mourning. She's feeling bad. She lost everything too. And she can't come up unless we come up, right? So what happened? Job was determined not to sin with his lips as his thoughtless wife had done. With a sublime contrast, there's between the testing of Job and that of Jesus. In Matthew 26:39-42, in Hebrews 5:8, because God has given woman an affectionate heart and a large capacity for sympathy and compassion, it is incumbent upon women who profess faith. This is what she should have done, right? This is what the book says. Because God has given women an affectionate heart and a large capacity for sympathy and compassion, it is incumbent upon women who profess faith in Christ to bind their husbands closer to Christ and persist in encouraging them in times of great trial and tragedy. Okay? It is only thus that a woman functions as God's meant her to be, and that is a helpmate. In other words, help me. In other words, when the times are tough, your woman is supposed to comfort you, and she's supposed to help you. She has to help you profess your faith in Christ. In other words, keep the faith. And that's not what Job's woman did. Job's woman said, kill yourself. Okay, forsake the Lord and kill yourself. That's what Job's woman said, right? And you got to ask yourself, fellas, are our sisters comforting us and helping us remain faithful? Some are, and they have. But like now, when the end is almost afoot, what are they doing? They turned on us. Kill yourself. We're gonna start swirling now. Forget y'all. Y'all ain't gonna never come up. They've lost faith. See, that's what's happening. Let's put that red pill lens on, fella. This is what we need to do. See, a lot of y'all don't want to deal with this. A lot of y'all still simps, but it's already written. So let's summarize this. Job's faith in God was tested, and the lesson you can learn, you cannot overcome spiritual warfare by merely being ruthless. Being that human strength can't fade demonic entities leveling attacks. See, that we don't know what is happening. A lot of us think we can go out there, we can fight white supremacy, racism with black power. Okay, that's not how that works. First of all, you got to be faithful within, and then there are things that you should do, and I talk about that Monday through Saturday, right? But here is where it is, fellas. It starts here inside you, that faith. It's only through God that you can do that. And the way to him is via his son, Jesus. See, Jesus sacrificed. See, a lot of people don't understand. Jesus was a gangster. Jesus was basically walking through these Roman occupied lands saying, I need land for my people. There's one God and you ain't him. Man, and matter of fact, his crimes against the Roman nation, the Roman Empire, was inciting the people to riot. In other words, basically, that's what he was doing, inciting the people to riot. He was killed as a criminal. Jesus was a gangster, and he was a black man. This is what you got to understand. When I think of Jesus, Jesus died for people who weren't even worthy of his death. He was a good man, just like many of you. That's the story. That's the story. That's why when people say, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in Jesus sacrificed for us. And that's what you as a man have to do. You have to sacrifice for those who deserve it and those who don't deserve it alike. Just like you get up and you go to work, you got them bad children and that ungrateful wife, you still got to get up and sacrifice your time and your energy and your day on their behalf, even though they're not worthy, because they're your responsibility. That's your burden as a man. That's why when I say walk in the path of the fisherman, walk in the path of Jesus, I'm talking about my sacrifices for those that are my responsibility, period. My women and my woman, my children are my responsibility, but maybe that'll be another discussion we'll have. Here's another thing, and we want to talk more about Job's wife. Job could have let his wife get into his head, and he could have pulled another Adam and Eve. Adam dropped the ball, right? We see what happened. At Eve's wife, Eve got that apple or that fruit. The devil got in her head, and she convinced Adam to go along with it. Job's wife tried to convince Job to go along with forsaking the Lord. And Job said, no, I'm not doing that. Why would I forsake the Lord? You can't take you love the good, but can't take the evil. It is with. Job didn't drop the ball. And we see what happened. Now, here's the thing. As to his wife, she may have spoke out of anger with God or with her husband. And she was upset with the faith, But to her credit, she stays with her husband in the midst of all that financial and personal ruin. Now, here's the thing. Where else does she have to go? See, the Bible says they give her credit for staying with her husband. As a red pillar, as a person who has this little red pill glasses on, she's post-wall, 10 kids down, nowhere to go, right? So I think she stayed with him because she stuck with him. And I feel like if she, knowing female nature, if she had somewhere else to go, she would, right? But she did. Now, her question to Job I'm sure it started his own process of deeper introspection that we get later on in the book, right? Imagine what she's dealing with, though, because and he had to think about this too. She has seen her life collapse, her social status. She's lost 10 kids. She's seen the family fortune disappear. And at this point in the story, her husband has a nasty disease and halitosis to boot. In other words, his breath was horrible, right? So it ain't just you looking at it, it's in your face, man. Can you imagine that? But she still stands by him, right? Until she doesn't. Now, Job tells her that they must Job tells her what he tells her. And guess what happens? She goes off in the field and dies. She goes off amongst the cattle and she dies. Only after the death does she receive honor in the city, laments her death. And Job is, in other words, after this woman dies, after this woman who tells him to kill himself and forsake God and kill yourself, he says, "No, I'm not going to do that. Why would I? You got to take all the stuff he said." She goes off in the field and dies. And then the town honors her because apparently they weren't honoring her before. They weren't honoring her before. She was afflicted that she couldn't go anywhere. She's probably around there asking for food and stuff. You know how it gets when you get poor. The same people that you used to look down on, now they looking down on you. She had to deal with that. So she was tormented, but she ends up going off and dying. And guess what happens? Job is restored. So that angry, bitter woman that told him to forsake God and kill himself, hell with your faith and kill herself, she went off and died. After she did all that, she went off and died. And guess what happened? God restored Job. The crazy thing is he gave him a new wife, a daughter of Jacob. And that's something we probably need to talk about because there's some meaning into that, along with 10 more children by her. So this is what happens. Now, I see a lot of similarities between what Black men have to go through and what this is the story of Black men. Look what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with right now, brothers. Now, I want to bring you guys in. We can talk about it. I hope that you guys understand that there's wisdom in that Bible, because look at how our sisters have forsaken us, right? Look what they do. They're doing stuff now they're on the track to destroy themselves. Look where they're headed now. Join the conversation. See, we understand what we're going through, but they blame us for what we're going through. And because they can't escape us, they're mad about it. They're upset. They're upset. The reason they're upset is because they're stuck with us. They've lost social status. They don't have wealth. I get it. I understand that's female nature. They're mad. They're looking around at all these other girls, all these other women, what they man have, the lands they can go to. I get it. I understand. That's female nature. But that's not what the woman is supposed to do. What the woman is supposed to do is what? Let's read what the Bible says. In order to be a helpmeet. Let's see here. It says, bind their husbands closer to Christ and persist in encouraging them in times of great trial and tragedy. It is only thus that a woman functions as God's meant her to, as a helpmeet. Not tell him to forsake the Lord and go kill himself. That's not appropriate. But either way, we got some fellas in here tonight. Guys who thank you, acknowledge everybody who's contributed to the Super Chat, Cash App, and the PayPal. I want to make sure I give a big shout out to Red Shoe 5 and Joshua, Jaden 77, Kenneth Williams. Thank you so much for the content. Of course, my man Volcanus. You guys, if you appreciate what we're doing, make sure you contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I want to give a shout out to KT, and then also Jetson. Thank you guys so much. Now, again, I'm not a Bible thumper, but I know that there's power in faith. You know, a lot of you guys look up to me, and I appreciate that. But at the core of who I am is a humble man who believes in the Most High God, whatever you call him. I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're Baptist, Christian, Catholic. I don't care if you Hebrew Israelite. I don't care. We all are black men. You see what I mean? And we all have got to remain faithful, even in these times of tribulation. This is where I'm at. I'm telling you, the only thing that has gotten me through has been my faith. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago when I really started studying the Bible, I began to say, man, these people going through the same stuff I'm going through right now. I broke a lot of these stories down in my books, Rules to Live By, How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in a Conflicted World. When I talk about rules to live by, I'm talking about those universal rules. I'm talking about those rules that are laid out in the Bible. Those rules from 2,000 years ago when our ancestors wrote that. And I know I get it. Go back to Egyptology, all that. I get it. I understand the story of Heru. And I've been through all of that, brothers. Heru and Isis, and she separated the parts in the different 13. I get it. I understand that. But at the end of the day, those rules still apply. The reason that Bible is codified like the way it is, it's a book of understanding. It basically teaches you the rules of life. And when you understand that, you operate by those rules, you can darn near predict the outcome. If you really understand that Bible, you can pretty much tell the future, because it tells you some basic principles. Immorality leads to destruction. And there's some practical reasons associated with that. You're out there cutting up, having sex with a whole bunch of women. We see what happens. You're going to have kids and diseases. What does that do? That destroys your bank account and your body and wreaks havoc on your mind. There's some rules in that Bible. The reason I have these sessions is because I want you brothers, whatever your faith is, to get back into that word, because it's powerful. And that's just not just lip service. Again, I am not a Bible thumper. I am not sin-free. I am not trying to tell you guys that all the time. I'm telling you, but I know that there's power in that word. And I want you guys to reinvest. If I can get through Job like that and pull all that out, and you can see, wow, that's me. That's what we're going through. That's what, then there's 60 some odd books, and there's 66 books, I believe, in the Bible. Go through them and learn. But either way, let's see, we got Bolo TV. We got Afro Patriarch, James Niels, Al D, and my man Malika. Bolo TV, welcome back. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing so good, man. Thank you for this topic, and the way you broke that down, I was overjoyed, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I was overjoyed.
God, all praise be to God. Go ahead.
All praise to the Most High. And you know, one of the first things that we have to understand is the Lord says, "Get knowledge, get wisdom, but with all thy getting, get understanding." Because you can have knowledge and wisdom, but if you don't know how to apply said knowledge and wisdom, it means nothing, like you said.
Yeah.
Wisdom, like the Bible is the most read every year. I mean, least read every year, but it's sold the most every year. And so there's something in this book that has stand the test of time. For those brothers that feel beat down and trodden, like you were saying, right? I want to read a scripture for you. This is Hebrews 12:6-1. It says, "For whom the Lord loveth, he chastens."
Say it again. They need it for the ones in the back.
Hebrews 12:6-11. "For whom the Lord loveth, he chastens, and he scourges every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, God deals with you as with sons. For what son is there whom a father does not chasten? But if you are without chastening, of which all have become partakers, then you are illegitimate and not sons of the Lord."
And what Bolo TV is basically saying, it's like that football coach or that school teacher that always gives you a hard time. You feel like he's picking on you, but he's picking on you because he knows you can be better than what you are. That's basically what that's saying in the book of Job. But go ahead, brother, and then we're gonna go to Afro Patriarch.
Yeah, that's 100%. What you were saying is this is what we need to understand. I think that what we need to focus on is 1 Corinthians 5:11. It says, "But actually, I wrote to you not to associate with any so-called brother if he has an immoral person or covetous, idolater, reviler." The people you keep around you, your vibe attracts your tribe. We need to start to understand that. So when you fall on hard times, like my man Job, the people that you keep around you that are strong and in the spirit of Christ, they're going to be the ones to bolster you up and keep you strong instead of
look
trying to pull you down.
at what Job's friends said to him. What do you think?
Exactly.
By contrast, look at what Job's friends said to him. Man, it must be your fault, man. You must have done something, man. Bro, it got to be you, man.
Yes,
And
sir.
look, man, you always giving us advice on how we should deal with stuff. Why don't you take some of your own advice, Joe? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Joe. And so, it's just interesting, man. And like I try to draw a line between in the first verse, I try to make it real for these young brothers. They've so been a lot of these brothers have forsaken the Lord. They've forsaken the Lord. They've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. They don't like the church. And so they've thrown the word of God out with the church. But the church is supposed to be there to teach you what's in the word. I hate to say it, but they're two separate entities. And if you're not getting what you need, if they're not teaching you something where you can really understand what it's saying, they're all a hiffif and haffif. That means some of these folks don't even understand what they're reading because they haven't lived enough life and understood enough and are willing to take the time. They're too busy doing other stuff. But go ahead, Bolo, and then we're going to go
church. The church is a business. Okay.
The church is a business.
What Christ came to do was listen, this is what people don't understand. Christ never taught in a building. Christ taught in the streets because this word is free. Christ tells you in the scriptures, who can put me in a building made with man's hands? I'm too big for that. So that's why one of the reasons why the Pharisees and Sadducees wanted to kill him, because he was taking the power out of the building and putting it in the people, saying that you are the church. But I want to give this last scripture.
I do want to focus on Job, but let me
I want to give this
let me answer. Hold on, brother. Come on now. So Alchemister Surfboarder says, what the hell does help meet mean? Help meet your maker. No, that's not what it means. Help meet your goals, brother.
Right.
The woman is supposed to help meet your goals. So, don't come in here with the attitude like that, brother. Don't be sarcastic. I understand where you're coming from, but if you come in here with a genuine heart, then sit back and learn. If you come in here, cause melee, man, you just, the wrench mob is going to get hold of it. But thank you, Bolo TV. I appreciate you. Afro Patriarch. Man, we're talking about Job today and how many of the things that Job is going through is what Black men have endured in this country. I know, I pointed out that, it's been for the past 500 years, the WSR has ruled the world. But for about 80,000 years before that, Black men were dominant on this planet. So we got to, this is our penance, I guess. This is our time. And I was trying to explain that, your lineage, your children are an extension of your life. You see what I mean? And Job's suffering is similar to that. Let's look at Job. He lost everything, right? Lost his children, just like we lose our children to the streets. What else? His old lady done turned on him. She told him to shoot yourself, kill yourself. You know what I mean? And what are your thoughts on that, man? I want to kind of focus on Job. What are your thoughts on that?
Job's trials and tribulations is so common among men who are striving just to be the best of themselves for their families.
Right.
It's so common that I now realize, just from what you're saying, why my grandfather in his last years secluded himself. Secluded himself from his wife and the rest of us. Is because, one, I wasn't very biblical, spiritual, so he couldn't really bond with me at that point in time. And he was going. Why I come to the realization is, my grandfather suffered in silence.
Yeah, that's what they wanted Job to do. You see what they want to shut up and take it. You shut up and take it like a man. Don't say nothing. You see that?
And the only solace he found was in the biblical teachings. I would walk in the room and always find him in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that now until now that he was probably fine looking for solace because life was hard. He was getting older. He didn't have all the people he called friends were gone,
Right.
and and he can't turn to us because we're. I mean, now at this point in my life, now I wish I could have be there for him,
Yeah.
and I
So
wish
what
I
do you?
could be there for him in a spiritual way, as men,
Yeah.
and I realized he was alone. And looking at Job's story, it's he pops in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about Joel's wife? I mean, I put a red pill lens on it. And that's why you brothers who consider yourself MGTOW and Ibmore, don't just limit your red pill to your interactions with women. I want you to begin to read everything with that new awakening. That's why I think that whole uh, red pill, I think it's just a brilliant philosophy because it exposes so much to the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we know now why Job's wife was pissed off. Yeah, she lost her kids, but she also lost her social status, and she's stuck with this man because she can't divorce him. So she's stuck with this tank. Can you imagine being a super rich woman, and then all of a sudden your husband gets struck down and sick? I know a woman like that, man. She was married to this man, and he had a nice job in California. Had a nice job. They lived up in the hills, and then he got sick all of a sudden with cancer. And I had dated his daughter back when I was in high school, man. So I came back to visit him probably like after I got out of law school. And the wife, she used to be, oh my God, I love my husband, blah. But then when he got sick 10 years later, she damn near treated him like he was a pariah. She treated him like it was the worst thing. She was being burdened down. She just wished he would die. You see what I mean? She used to be able to do hair and keep a little money. Now she got to do hair and use that money to pay them house bills. You understand what I'm saying? Afro patriarch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Material women, which is now used to be, half and half, but now it's like in my period, it's a they just expanded. They're like all over the
Mhm.
place.
Yeah.
When they feel like they've lost the material world, uh
Mm.
property, things that technically you could get back over time, but they just feel like the world has come to an end. They will look to the men to blame, even the men that don't even know.
Right. Right. And that's what we got going on here, man. I mean, his Job's friends up and said, man, you must have did something, man. You must have did something, man. His wife is saying, how can you even still love God and he's forsaking you like this? Curse God and die. And if you don't die, kill yourself. That's some cold things to say to your husband that you're supposed to love. You don't have 10 kids with him. You see what I'm saying? And you see
Yeah,
what he said to her. He said, all right. And then she went off and died. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I think it's
And again, it brings
yeah,
back to my grandfather. My grandfather had a very materialistic. My step grandma, I love her, but she was very materialistic and in some ways manipulative.
oh
And
yeah,
things
don't
from
Joe's wife sound like she's manipulative
Yeah,
to you?
yeah, yeah, very. and
Yeah.
and and when it came time, my grandfather was 10 years older than my grandmother, but my
Mm-hmm.
grandfather outlived my step grandmother and
Mm-hmm.
my mom's mom. He outlived both these women. He outlived both these women that technically made
Yeah,
life
man.
hard on him. And so
He,
I'll say to
this
this to the
he
men
was
before
so.
you
Go
go
ahead.
to the next guy. I'll say this to the men. Um, when they tell you you're not a real man, say you're right. I'm a sacred man.
Mm,
Meaning my masculinity comes from somewhere that you can't understand.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
leave
man.
it at that.
Yeah, man. I just hope the brothers are picking this up, man. Uh, Thank you, everybody. Please continue contributing to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. And another thing, get the likes up, fellas. Get the likes up. James Keels, man, what are your thoughts on this thing, man? I mean, are you able to get something out of this that's helpful in your life? Because I mean, the whole point is to remain
Um,
faithful.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. My background is I just got baptized. I think you see, 2019, I got baptized. So
Okay,
I
cool.
do things like, yeah, man. And when you was reading the book of Joel, I actually was reading it like alongside you. I know you can't actually see me though, but
That's
yeah,
cool.
I
Yeah.
have the Bible right here in front of me. So so I could get the word in, man. Cause I ain't get the word in all day. You know how life is, man. Kids,
I know
family,
how it
paying
is, man.
bills.
I know how it is. I already
So
know. And you know, church is like a
yeah,
fashion
man. So
anyway. You got to go in there and people looking at you, and you know, I get it. So you know, I bring it right here to you and lay it down where you can understand.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
and that's like the biggest. That's like one of my biggest complaints, man. Because I'm not like financially stable right now, so I'm working though. But you know how it is in church, man. People draped up and dripped out. But let me get to the point. The point of the matter is, I like his focusness. I like how he was focused and he
Oh yeah.
remembering of the word of God. And like you said, even with his friends, he asked God for forgiveness and stuff like that. Because in the
Right.
scripture it says that they was like an army that didn't go out of sync, that marched straight forward.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the part that I like because in my life, I'm so focused. I don't have to say anything to my friends, even though they still on the streets. They doing this, they doing that. They going in and out of jail. It's like a revolving door. But they choose not to be around me because they know that I'm upright and I'm a man at the end of the day. And then
Mhm.
God give me the blessings. I receive the message and I live through the word of God by leading, by practicing what he said, you know what I'm saying? By changing my people, places and things in my life. So so my ex friends they don't come around me because they know
Yeah.
he don't like to drink, he don't want to smell weed around him. You know what I'm saying? He about family, he's about his kids, he's about going to work. You know what I'm saying? He's about dressing a certain type of way. He don't sag his clothes, he keep his hair cut.
Mhm.
My appearance. Because
Right.
we all wear uniforms. Everybody have a uniform. The police officer have a uniform. The doctors have a uniform. The lawyers have a uniform. So we had to put our uniform on every day, which is mind, body, soul, spirit. You know what I'm saying? These things that we have to add to our repertoire. We have to use these things as tools. There's different tools in different toolbox that's used for different type of situations. And you
Mhm.
can assume this by your mind, by your third eye. You know what I'm talking about? And then I also like how he said that the mountains are the wine and the hill will flow like milk. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And when you're going through things, you pray towards Zion. You know what I'm saying? And Jerusalem is the
Well, let's
it's the
stick to
holy.
the story that we talk about today.
Oh,
I'm gonna ask you a question.
oh, okay,
So
yeah,
he could have left his wife. Remember what he said? He could have did what Adam did, right? And he
right,
didn't do it. Adam, I said I use the term Adam dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? Instead
right,
of following his, Adam should have said, "Look, you ate that damn apple. I told you not to. You up out of here. That's between you and the Lord. I might suffer, but I'm not eating that apple because that's a direct violation of what God said." As much pressure as this, well, imagine your woman coming to you, man. You down bad. Your friends just left. You in
hmm,
pain, lost everything.
yeah,
And your woman is saying, "Man, just kill yourself.
right.
Just down yourself. Just
Well,
knock yourself out." And he said, "No, I'm
well,
not." And
well,
but
she did kill me. She did kill
Adam,
me because I was in that situation. I was in that situation. I was in that situation. Me and my ex, the mother of my kids. I have two daughters, and we was together for 18 years. You know what I'm saying? So we've been separated right now for 5 years. So out of them 5 years, she treated me like a stranger, man. She took me to child support. That killed me. Within the child support, I lost my father within that because he been deceased going on 2 years right now. So within that time frame, she knew this because we went to the funeral together. You know what I'm saying? Hand in hand. We was looking like we a couple up in the funeral funeral home and things of that nature. So after we left, there's things that transpire after that because she got a new man and everything. So the thing that she told me that when a woman tell you that we will always be a family no matter what that we go through and things of that nature, that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because things going to happen. She going to be around new energy. You know what I'm saying? But that's women nature. I don't transgress against that when you understand women nature, when you understand hypergamy, you know what I'm saying, when you understand the gonocracy. So
I appreciate
with the
that. I appreciate that. Let me I appreciate your words, man. Let's go to Al D because they've been patiently waiting. Al D, man,
yes, sir.
what are your thoughts on this, man? And I'm trying to stay focused on this story of Job. We'll have time to talk about other stories in the Bible, but what did you get from this uh, summation? And I implore all of you guys to read the book on your own and get what you get out of it. Make your comments below. But what did you get out of this? Or did you hear something that you hadn't heard before? Did you see it in a new light? This story of Job, as I read it here today, or as we discussed it.
It's confirming the what's confirming you gotta stay faithful. For example, that Little Nas X video.
I don't even want to talk about that, bro.
Basically,
yeah,
you gotta protect your mind. You gotta protect your mind. You gotta be wise.
Yeah.
And you have to stay faithful, and you got to protect. Basically, you got to protect your masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a spiritual warfare.
Well, man, see, you know what's going on, and I'm gonna give you this, man. Like, here's the thing, and I thought about it, and I was thinking maybe I'll do something about it later on this week, but a lot of times, man, black men are talked about so badly in the community, in social circles in this country, that not even black boys want to be black men. And so when you get somebody like Nas X, he's just the product of so much bad mouthing, so much negative attention associated, so much negativity put on black men. And now you got a group of black boys that don't even want to be black men, so they rebel against it. You see what I mean? That's part of that. And so again, as I had the conversation I had earlier this week with you guys, we got to protect our image, and we don't need to be nice about it. Anytime somebody says something about us, you got to run up on them with your Twitter fingers, and you got to let them have it. I don't care if it's the emasculation of black men that we saw in Coming to America 2. And I know we love Eddie Murphy. We love Arsenio Hall. We happy to see them back together. But they're a bunch of buffoons and clowns, beta males, emasculated men in that movie. You see what I mean? And we should have been on Twitter. We should have been on them like a lean tick on a sick kitten. You see what I mean? Because what's happened is over years, it compiles and it compiles and it comes together. And now our own boys, they don't even want to be black men, especially if they didn't have a black male role model that they could respect in the house. And so, you know, you brothers are just too nice, man. Y'all just, you guys are just some of the nicest men on this planet. You black American men, I don't care what they say. I've seen how other men are. These other dudes are ruthless when it comes to these women. They hardcore on them. You know, they don't, I mean, I go down to Colombia, man, they look like they have a revolution every 20, 30 years. And these are short people, short little men. They like I think the average Colombian dude is 5'2" or 3, but they will roll you up. You know what I'm saying? They will get their little guns together, and if they don't like something, they don't like how they be treated, they're gonna stand up and they're gonna put fire to people. You see what I mean? But brothers, we just go along and get along. We take all of this from our women. We take all of this from society. Only people we jump bad on is each other. You see what I'm saying? So we have to begin to speak up. If we want to save ourselves and save our sons, then we have to begin to stop being so cool, stop being so laid back. And I'm gonna have this conversation with you guys. You guys rather be liked than respected. You rather be liked, so you want to try to go along and get along. And I love you, brothers. God is definitely with you because you guys definitely have that. Black American men, you're special. You're a special group. God clearly loves you. You know, all I'm asking you to do is be like Jesus when he turned over the table in the temple. You know, at some point you got to search yourself and draw a line. That's all I'm asking you to do. You can still be good and stand up for yourself, fellas. That's all I'm saying. But either way, thank you, Al. Malika, man, what are your thoughts on this thing, man? I want to try to get some more food out of this Job Everybody want to talk about all this other stuff, but what do you think about the Job conversation?
One part really stood out to me with this story is that Job's test of faith was not just with God, but it was the test of his friends and his wife's loyalty, especially when he was at the lowest point in his life. And this kind of correlates to us black men. It shows who's really in your corner and who really has your back when the chips are down and when you're trying to do your best to do right. Because Job was just the victim of circumstance to show the devil was just using him to try to manipulate God to really say, see, here's somebody that I can use that will curse you. And God said, God is really trying to tell the devil, it's not about somebody cursing me. It's about just the faith of man and whatever they can go through, as long as they keep their faith and they keep everything strong and it's not about them, things will endure. And, devil's like, whatever. But he's like, okay, but don't kill him because killing him is easy. But all of us black men on this panel and even in the chat have been in a serious situation and circumstances when our chips were down and we think that we're doing right, and we are doing right. But like how you said, Dennis, it's life testing us to see how strong we are. It's God saying like, okay, you got through this, but I really want to see how tough your mantle is. I want to really see, do you really have faith that I got your back? And it's not about this external world. I want you to really see, is this woman the woman you really need to be with? Those friends that you might have had for 10, 20 years, or those relatives that loved you, are they really the people that really got your back when the chips are down? Are they people that really know your character? Are they people that really got your back and love you because they love you of you, or they love you because of what you do for them and what your external character represents? And this is but you remember what God says about Job's character in the beginning. He already laid out the template of who the character is. And here's one thing you got to understand, y'all. God is talking about our character through Job. We are strong and very vital men. Our durability through the years, man, who we are. We're always said that we ain't ish, we're not this, we're not that. No, we're 10 times better than that. We just have been hoodwinked and bamboozled, pardon the cliche, but it's bigger than us. It's bigger than that. And just to kind of wrap up what I'm saying, it's really showing you, okay, you're at a low point. Do these people really have your back? And it's really about you standing in good faith and not giving into what people say. His friends saying, well, you probably must have done something. You did this, or you did that. And it's like, well, damn, I thought you had my back. And your woman, you think your woman got your back, and she telling you, and how the way a woman wants to manipulate, a woman wants to poke and pry.
You notice how when he put his woman in check and sent her on her way, she went off and died, and everything everything got better again.
Yeah, that was his SYSBM moment.
Just think about that, fellas, and I want y'all to think about that. The minute he put his woman in check and said, I'm not going to lose faith. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to curse God. I'm going to remain strong. She went off and died. She exited from his life. And then what? She went and died. His health was returned, right? All his fake friends were exposed. God chastised them. His woman came in, she got chastised, she went off and died. And once he was free, what happened? He was restored, and he married a daughter of Jacob. Now, I know we got some Hebrew Israelites up in here. I know you Hebrew Israelites hang out here. I like you guys. I remember y'all dropping y'all know that Bible. There's a meaning behind him marrying, her name is Deniah, and he married the daughter of Jacob. There's some meaning behind that. What I want you guys to do, everybody, look that up. Look up what the term deniah, D-I-N-A-H means. What does that name mean? Okay, and then I want to look up daughters of Jacob. Who was Jacob? Okay, that's what I want you guys to. It's a Hebrew name. Okay, and I want you to understand that there's meaning in that. Because see, a lot of us, we read the Bible, but we don't really understand. Okay, deniah means judged or vindicated. That's a hint for you guys. He married a woman whose name means judged or vindicated. You understand what I'm saying? Now notice the wife was never named. You understand what I mean? The wife was never named, but his new wife, her name was Deniah. It's Hebrew, and it means judged or vindicated. Okay? The black man has ruled this world for 80,000 years. We didn't have to really fight anybody for it. It was just our inheritance because we were the first ones here. We never suffered for it. So for the past 500 years, what? We've been suffering. I know some people will say, well, we're being judged for something we did. I don't know. But I hope that we come out of this vindicated, fellas. That we are the rightful owners of this world. Y'all think about that, man. It's so much more to the Bible than we actually know. We read over stuff. Some of you guys read the Bible just to read it. You know, you just read it just to read it, and you don't really understand what's in it. But either way, man, thank you, Malika. Khalid Garvey, how you doing, man? You got 2 minutes. What are your thoughts on this thing, man?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm good, man. What are your thoughts on any aspect of what we've been talking about today? And look, if you guys appreciate this, get the likes up. Again, I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm an attorney, and I'm your brother. That's all I am. I just want you guys to get interested in the word because there's truth in there that you need to be attuned to. But go ahead, Khalid. You got 2 minutes. Tell us what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I read the book of Job, but just looking over it since you brought it up, the part I looked at was chapter 9, where Job was saying in verse, what was that? 4, God is wise in heart and mighty in strength. Who has hardened himself against him and prospered? So, you know, he has all his friends, his wife, and everyone telling him to turn away from God. And his simple question was, what good would that do?
These are his friends and his wife is telling him to turn against God.
What good would that do? Like, can it point to somebody who's done that and it benefited them in the long run? Like, yeah, I got all these other problems, but that's going to be a brand new problem. Like, you're telling me to turn against the one person who at some point could turn all this around. If I do that, then I really don't have any ace in the hole at that point. So it's kind of like when I look at the story, you know, when you're going through things, keep your wits about you. As a man, keep your head on the swivel. Know that other people around you may just turn on you. They may not even be turning on you. They just can't deal with what you're going through. It's hurting them more than it's hurting you almost to go through it because they can't see in their mind how they could deal with it if they were you. And they think you should give up because, you know, you're suffering, you're dealing with all of this. But, you know, for me,
what do you think about him not making the same mistake that Adam made, going along with his old lady?
Matter of fact, that's one thing I was going to go into where it led me to think about Eve, where that's exactly Adam's problem. He listened to his woman.
He was a simp.
If Job had done the same thing, his story would have ended up just like Adam's. He would have had the same problems. So you have to know your woman is not built to have the strength that you have.
Well, see, now hold on. Now, they're being a helpmeet. You don't need a helpmeet when everything's going good, right? You need a helpmeet to turn you back to Jesus, turn you back to God when things are bad. And so that's why I run through this conversation with these brothers. Like, okay, so let's put in a modern day situation what we're dealing with. I'm not talking about all these lovely ladies. Basically, these lovely ladies saying, hell with it. I'm going to go date a while. I'm going to be a swirler. And it's about to get the bag culture. I'm going to be super materialistic. I'm going to throw my butt every which way. Have they turned to God or have they turned away from God in this trying time that Black folks are dealing with here in the United States?
I would say turned away. I mean, I feel like Solomon, it's hard to find a virtuous woman.
Yeah. And so at what point do we tell our women, you know what? You go ahead and you do what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna remain faithful and go with God. You see what I'm saying? I think that's something that we have as Black men have to do, because we've come to a head here. And I'm not saying all the lovely ladies, and this is definitely a conversation that needs to be had over some time period. But I clearly know that if your behavior does not demonstrate, I mean, what can I do with a woman like that when I'm being tested like Black men are?
Right.
She's basically telling you to kill yourself. Go out there and sell that dope and get me that money so I can get this Birkin bag. That's basically kill yourself. Go out there and stress yourself out working all day and all night so I can keep up with Becky and Maylin. Kill yourself. You see what I'm saying? That's basically what I'm hearing. The get the bag culture is I'm gonna show my butt to every other man in this world. You see what I mean? That's what we at on videos and TV shows and whatnot. So at what point do we tell our woman what Job told his woman?
Well, I think that the starting point for that is to reject thought culture, where all this attention seeking with, how they're showing their bodies and all that.
But why there's whose attention? Why are they seeking attention? Who do they want? Are they seeking attention for dogs and cats?
Well, they're seeking the attention of men, but that's what I'm saying.
They're seeking the attention of other men.
Yeah,
because think about it. Look at the situation that Job's wife was in. She lost her land, she lost her children, she lost her social status, and the reason she lost it because the man lost his. So the only way she can get that back is by getting what? Another man, right? And so if we're in a situation where our lovely ladies are showing their butt and showing off and turning their back on God, who are they seeking?
Another man.
Another man. And so what do we have to do as faithful men, as men who believe in faith, to recognize this is just a chastisement, undeserved, but it is what it is. What do we have to do? Baby, you going out there and live with them cows. I'm not gonna play with you. And if that's basically what did he tell his wife? You got your Bible out there right now, brother?
I don't even have it open now. We're just going off of memory with
Thou speakest as one of the foolish women. Speaketh. What shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? For 80,000 years, that Black woman was right next to us when we ruled the world. And now for this past 500 years, it ain't been so pretty. Africa's been decimated. Black people have been sold all across the world. And some of our sisters have decided to forsake the Lord and their faith. That's unfortunate. But it's on men to remain strong. This is what women do. Eve did it. Who else? We can look at Delilah. We can look at many other stories in the Bible. But we as men have to remain faithful. We can't do what Eve did. Okay? We can't, as Adam, we can't do what Eve did. As Job, we can't do what his wife did. Well, we have to move forward towards vindication. We have to allow this judgment to continue to happen. We can't go astray, because if we go astray, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Definitely. I think that's just, when you talk about being red pill, looking at it from all perspectives, that's part of how God constructed manhood, for it to be able to sustain the things that, a woman in her femininity, if she is feminine or not, is not able to. There's certain pressures that we all know we deal with.
Well, have to be able to go through. Here's the thing, bro. It's not that she's not able to. Because check out, I want you to look at Matthew 26, 39, 42, and Hebrews 5 and 8. Okay. And basically, a woman is supposed to be there in your time of difficulty like that, she's supposed to help you profess your faith in Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. She's supposed to bind you closer to Christ and persist in encouraging them in times of great trial and tragedy. Okay. It is that's how a woman functions as God's meant her to be, as a helpmeet.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So I'm not arguing that against
if
that.
If your woman has forsaken you and she's doing the exact opposite, what does that tell you? That's probably not a good woman in the first place. That's not the woman God wants you to be with.
Right. So I'm not arguing against that point of that she should be, or she's constructed where she's supposed to be to help me. But we know that they don't always maintain their position.
There are stories of women in the Bible who do. Okay, but you have to know that some don't. You see what I mean? There are good women out there who will stand by you in these tragedies that we all know stories about. You know about grandpa got sick and grandma was with him. You know, this man, whatever she was with. There are women out there like that. But if you got one that's not like that, you need to send her off with the cattle so she can die. And you'll know about her activity. She's going to be telling you to do what? She's going to be turning up, cutting up, forsaking the Lord, either through her actions, no matter what her mouth says. She can believe in the Lord and still forsake the Lord. Clearly, Job's wife believed in God. She just said, he turned his back on you. You turn your back on him, and let's forget him, and you just kill yourself so I can go on about my business. Couldn't get divorced back then. You see what I'm saying? Not like that. You understand what I'm saying? This is a hard,
regardless of what they do.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, regardless of what they do, we have to maintain our standard, whether they're there or not, because we can't make them do it. But we have to make sure that we hold for our side of it, regardless of what they're going to do.
What do you do when you find out your woman is like Job's wife?
You may have to do exactly what Job did. Send her away. I mean, because leaving her there, if she's not going to follow you and maintaining your faith or your belief in God, you can't keep her there, because she's only going to try to erode what your belief is. She told, like she did, tell Job to curse God and die. You don't need that around you.
Curse God and die or kill yourself. You see what I mean? Let's not forget that part. This is what your wife that you had 10 children with tell you to do. Now that you lost your money, you've lost your land, you've been kidnapped, you've been brought over here to this country, enslaved and shackles for the past 402 some odd years, 3 years. You don't have anywhere else to go. You don't have anything. And now your woman is telling you, kill yourself. You holding me back. I'm strong, black, and independent. I don't need a man. Because you holding me back. Kill yourself. Go die. That's what I see happening right now. That's why this story is so powerful. There's so many different aspects we can look at it from. But either way, fellas, man, I appreciate you guys. You may not like my interpretation. You know, I hope you don't. I hope all of y'all are mad at me. I hope all the Christians, the Baptists, the Hebrew Israelites, who else? I hope who else? I hope the Muslims are angry with me. I hope the Catholics are enraged enough to get into your book, this Holy Bible, and read it and come back and tell me all the different ways I was wrong and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. That's what I want you guys to do. And hopefully in doing that, you'll learn more about this word, because there's power in this word. I hope I've been able to bring this home to you guys. You know, some of y'all don't go to church. I don't go to church either, man. I don't like the way the modern day church is set up. I don't like it. You know, I think it's vain. There's a lot of vanity, all that. I don't like it. And I know most of you guys don't like it, period. Not all, a lot of you guys don't like it. So that's why I'm doing this, man. But either way, Bolo TV, Afro Patriarchy, James Keels, Khalid Garvey, Malika. God bless you, brothers. I love you guys. You know, I love my brothers. I want to see you do well in this world. I hope that you pray for me and keep me strong. I will pray for you to the Most High. I thank you all for your time and attention. I appreciate you guys. This is Uncle D, and I'm out.